Hi everyone. If you don't recognize me because I don't have all my snowboarding gear on, or because I'm not accompanied by a little snowboarding dinosaur or tutu-clad shredder, I am Robert, the Shredder Dad of the Chasing Sage social media channels, and I'm here to talk about this, which is the DJI Osmo Action 4 camera, which is one of my go-to tools for capturing memories and creating snowboarding content. And I want to share a little bit about this camera after using it for an entire season. So I want to begin by answering the question we get asked the most, and that is, how do we create our mic'd up content?
Over the train, hiking through the trees.
And this past winter, much of the time I've been using this paired with the DJI Mic 2. And what's amazing about this pairing is you don't have to plug a receiver into the camera. This is the most seamless and easiest way to do mic'd up footage that I know of right now, because this mic pairs using Bluetooth directly to this camera without having to plug in an external receiver. Listen, I've been through the gauntlet of external mic tests over the last 2 or 3 years, and they all have one thing in common, and that is that there has to be a receiver that plugs into the camera. Whether that's your phone, an action cam, a 360 cam, there's always been a receiver that has to plug into the camera. And that comes with a whole bunch of issues. First of all, oftentimes it compromises the waterproofness of the camera. It creates more bulk on the camera when you're trying to store it. It has to be hidden in the stitch line of the camera if you're using a 360 cam. And most notably, anytime that you have a mechanical connection, a plug-in receiver into the camera, there's always a chance that that will get pulled out or severed, knowingly or unknowingly. I would say if it falls out and you see it, that's best case scenario. If it wiggles free a little bit and kind of severs that connection so you think you're getting audio on your video and it's not anymore, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with that. And it's finally been addressed and remedied with the true direct mic to camera pairing offered by these two.
Bam, sunshine, bam, sunshine. We are here today. The mountains are out and it's a bluebird day.
I would say that alone would be reason enough to consider this camera mic combo if you're interested in mic'd up content. But there's a lot of other things that I really enjoyed about this camera as well. The next thing that's probably worth talking about is the battery, because that seems like a huge conversation point when people are choosing which action cam to purchase. And it's pretty clear that DJI had snowboarders and skiers in mind when they developed this camera, because the batteries are better than anything else I've used in the winter. They're cold resistance rated down below 0 degrees Fahrenheit. They last up to 150 minutes. And when you do have to charge them, they can fast charge from 0 to 80% in less than 20 minutes. And so you could be in the lodge and quickly get it all the way up to 80% before heading back out if needed. I do have a personal tip when it comes to filming that will help your battery life, no matter what camera you're using. And that is to be selective with what you film. I know that people love throwing these on their helmet, filming a full top to bottom run, or just forgetting about it until it dies. But my suggestion would be to be much more selective than that. Ultimately, I'm all for less editing, more time outside. So I just keep this thing tucked in on the chest sleeve of my backpack, and I pull it out and turn it on when I want to film. That may be 1, 2, 3 minutes at a time when I think it might be cool, or I know that I'm following one of our kids through the terrain park and I know they want to try to hit something. And then I just turn it back off and I put it back in the chest pocket. It's going to save you a ton of battery, which will last all day. The memory card will only be full of mostly highlights, or at least short clips that are easier to get to the point and edit, rather than a 20-minute long top to bottom groomer run. It lends itself to a much better post-processing experience if you're more selective with the filming. But if you're like, no way man, I definitely want to film the entire day. What if somebody hits me? I want to get it on camera. Then they have an adventure combo you can get, which comes with this slender case that has 3 batteries in it. It tells you the charge. You can just pop it into the camera, put the other one back in the case, slide it in your pocket, and you're good to go. There's no way that you would run out of battery and you'd be able to film all day without stops with this in your pocket. Now let's talk about image quality. There's going to be a ton of certified tech junkies out there making great videos that explain in depth all of the tech and the reasons why this performs better. But from my Joe Schmo perspective, there's something that feels next level about the image quality on this camera. Granted, the other camera that I use in addition to this, is a 360 camera, which notoriously has worse image quality than action cams. There's something really nice about the 1 by 1.3 inch sensor that's in here and the color temperature that allows this to perform super well in complicated lighting situations. I love the fact that I can dip into the woods on a sunny day with this, and it can handle the kind of constant flicker and contrast between sunlight and dark trees and shadows, and then head out onto the wide open groomers and have it perform with true to life image, regardless if it's full sun, full clouds, it doesn't matter. This thing even blew me away in what I would call no light conditions. Historically, I do not think of action cams when I think of ways to record well in low light situations. But we went night riding at the local mountain, which is sporadically lit at best, and there's some really dark areas, and Auburn was wearing her light up cape and her light up snowboard, and we were riding through these dark areas. I could not believe how nice that video looked and how much detail it picked up with almost zero light available. And can we just talk about the magnetic quick release mechanism for a second, which is so convenient? Watch this. So you can shoot like this, and then you can just be like, whoop. And then you can shoot like that. So this is the naked camera, and you can just clip it onto the selfie stick that way, or you can put it inside this housing. And not only can you still clip on horizontally, but you can just pop it off and do vertical as well if you want to shoot vertical video. One of my most used and the most underrated shots is actually dangling the camera down low behind somebody, especially when they're snowboarding. You've got the spray blasting by the camera, you're down low. It's a really dynamic shot and makes everything look cooler than maybe it is. Not only is there the actual clasp mechanism, which holds the selfie stick to the camera, but there's a magnetic connection as well that kind of pulls it together right in the perfect alignment, so you can put it on there really quick, know that it's on there, and start filming. I make the switch all the time between vertical and horizontal with my gloves on while snowboarding with no issue. It's so convenient because I exclusively shoot holding the selfie stick. I don't ever mount the camera to my body. For what it's worth, this is the backpack that I use. This is a Deuter backpack, and all the Deuter backpacks have these two elastic loops on the shoulder straps. And all I do is I slide this in there, and I'll ride around with that on the shoulder strap, and then it's ready at a moment's notice to pull out and start filming. Another thing I really like about this camera is the high frame rate shooting options, which allow for really beautiful, smooth, slow motion video, which is something that I really miss when shooting with a 360 camera because they can't perform nearly as well. And it's why this camera will always have a spot in my backpack when snowboarding. The Action 4 also has a front screen and a back screen, and they're both touch screens, so you can access and alter any of the settings from either screen no matter what orientation the camera's at. And the front screen definitely makes selfies and vlogging and things like that a lot easier. And it's a much better option for an action camera than having like a flip up back screen that I've seen on some cameras, which is just another kind of mechanical joint that can fail and break. In the world of action cams, I think less moving parts better. And so I think it was a really nice and smart move to have a fully functional touchscreen on the front if that's the orientation you like using the camera in. So I've been using action cams for a long time, and one of my pet peeve memories of GoPro back in the day was if you scratched the lens on the camera, you had to send it back and have it professionally replaced. And it was a whole hassle to have done. You lost your camera for a while. And so a really nice simple detail on the DJI Action 4 is the lens guard screws off. If you scratch it, if you break it, screw it off, pop a new one on, you're good. You can also get neutral density filters and screw those on sunny days to improve the image quality even more while using the camera. So at the end of the day, we're at the end of the season, I found the DJI Osmo Action 4 to really just be a well-performing, hassle-free camera. And that's all I can ask for. I'm out there with two kids. I'm getting them on and off the lift, down the mountain, digging them out of powder. I just need this to perform well, not have the battery die, and be simple to use. And that's exactly what this is. You guys have probably seen our outdoor content before. Now you know one of the tools we use. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments.